So we say in NHL history there's been numerous overachievers or players that went above and beyond what the public thought about them. Now this player, if I told you there was an NHL player in the mid to late 1970s into the 80s was averaging 20 to 25 goals a season for 7 straight years, got to the Stanley Cup more than once, played with Wayne Gretzky, played with some of the best Hall of Fame players of his era, you're going to probably say, well, is his name on the Stanley Cup? Well, his name is not on the Stanley Cup, but he came oh so close in helping his squad win one with Boston in the late 1970s. So today we're going to be talking about the legend and the high talent of Robert James Bobby Schmautz. Now born in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, he started his NHL career with Chicago Blackhawks. Now, he wasn't drafted, but he came to heavy prominence in the Saskatchewan Junior Leagues with the Saskatoon Quakers and the Saskatoon Blades. He eventually graduated after some really, really strong seasons, including the 64 campaign, where he scored 55 goals in 60 games. Now, with the LA Blades in 65 to WHL, he continued to skate with the squad, but kind of lost his scoring touch in those 2 seasons, but he was getting injury problems. 68, he finally made it to the big leagues with Chicago. He played most of the season in Dallas with 23 goals, but graduated Chicago with 3 goals in 13 games and another 5 points in the playoffs. Now 69, a regular turn with the Blackhawks, only led to 9 goals, and he found himself back in the WHL with Salt Lake and Seattle, where he did score 37 goals. But with expansion, he found himself with the expansion Vancouver Canucks. First season in Vancouver, again, limited to play, 10 points in 26 games. 72, he played 60 games in Vancouver with 12 goals, but he really opened out in 73 and became one of the stars of the early part of the franchise with 38 goals in 77 games. But 74 found him with Boston for the playoff run, which helped the team make it to 74 Stanley Cup final against Philadelphia. But unfortunately, despite his 9 points in the playoffs and his 33 total goals in the regular season, they come a bit short. Now, 75, he scored 21 goals with Boston with injuries and limited play, only 56 games. Now, 75, in a close to a full season, he had 28 goals. But 77 and 78, he was having some difficulty in the regular season with ailments and injuries. He only played 57 to 54 games in 77 and 78 with 23 and 27 goals. But in 78, the 77 and 78 playoffs, in 29 games, he scored 18 goals, including the Stanley Cup 2-2 series tire in overtime in 78. But his playoff run in 77 was tremendous. He had 11 goals in 14 games. A known sniper, and Don Cherry worked with him, and he eventually became a valuable and consistent offensive threat at critical times. Now, overall, he scored 26 playoff goals for Boston, which eventually was the same total as Bobby Orr. Now, a heavy fan favorite in Boston, he was known for his fearsome slap shot, and perhaps just as well for his fearsome wrist shot. With both, he scored an unusual percentage of his goal in the top corners, and when he missed, he tended to miss high, clanking a thunderous strike on the boards behind the goaltender's head, and he also had a knack for hitting crossbars. Now, Schmautz, a two-way game really developed in Boston, and he usually played right wing on a line with future Hall of Famer Johnny Busick and the very underrated and versatile Greg Shepard. Now, he wore out his welcome in Boston in 1980 and found himself with the Edmonton Oilers in midway through the season, and for some reason he then ended up in Colorado. He did combine that year for 25 goals. Now he returned to Vancouver in 81, but again the nagging injuries kind of eliminated his career. Now, big totals in the NHL, 764 games, 271 goals, 286 assists for 557 points. And again, 84 playoff games, 28 goals in the playoffs, 61 points. And the majority of those playoff goals, of course, were with Boston. And, 28 playoff games doesn't goals doesn't sound much, but the amount of counters he got were, like I said, tremendous. He was always doing something to make sure that the Bruins were in every game he played, and especially in '68 as well with the Blackhawks when they're on that partial cup run. It's amazing. It's amazing how far he took with his talent. Imagine he would have played 8 games a season. He would have been a 400 goal scorer. So anyway, that's the legend of Bobby Schmautz, and for a lot of people, he still remains either their second favorite Bruin behind Bobby Orr and Phil Esposito, or at least top 5. You can't talk about the Bruins of the 1970s without talking about Bobby Schmautz. Have a good day. Bye.